I mean, honestly, the last couple of weeks have been some of the best of my whole music career, even though it's been going for a while. So I'm grateful that things just seem to be getting better at the moment. Ninajirachi was my Instagram username. It was the first alias I was using that had a song kind of get some plays, so I just kept using it. It's a mix between my name, Nina, and the name of a Pokemon, but that's how it came about. But I really do love Pokemon. It was like the first game I ever played, and I was watching the anime from when I was like 5 years old. I put up my first tracks on Unearthed in I think 2015 or 2016. And the first one that I put up that got some airplay was called Glass, and I made it with my friend Ben on the Central Coast. It made me an Unearthed High finalist, which was so crazy. That was the first time like people started checking out my music. When I realized that the album was about my computer or like my relationship with it, I guess I started thinking about how I could like personify my computer or like anthropomorphize it or something, and you know, if it was like sentient, what would be important to it? Maybe it would be internet access points like cell towers. It's just like a funny kind of headcanon, like sci-fi headcanon that I came up with, and there was this one in particular that was at this spot in Melbourne that I got really close to, and when I was there hanging out with some friends, I thought this would be a cool place to shoot the first video. So we did the first video there, and then people started like reviewing it on Google Maps, which was really funny. Up until recently, I was doing a lot of like just visuals and editing and stuff myself. And this album, I had a few friends work on the videos and stuff with me, which was amazing. But yeah, I generally like, I think like one of my biggest sources of inspiration forever is just like free time trolling the internet, like just free surfing, browsing and going down rabbit holes. When I'm doing that, I kind of like, sometimes I have like a Google Doc open and I'll just paste things that are interesting into there. And I think by the time it came to making the visuals and the videos for my album, I had like a 40-page Google Doc with like, you know, it was all kind of like mind mapped, and I had like a really specific idea of what everything should look like. When I bring it to the collaborators, they like will add to it and kind of clean it up, and together we make it into something nice, you know, like not just a slab of concrete, like more of a chiseled statue. With Info Hazard though, that came a lot more from Aria, who made it, because she had this really specific idea about doing choreographed web browsing. So we kind of just like did a whole bunch of hours of screen recording. But the stuff I was browsing was a lot of the like 4562 world stuff that I'd already built out. So luckily there was already kind of like a thing there to work with. And then we just ended up being like, oh, but what if we added this and this and this? Outside of that frame, there was a whole production going on. Being able to test music at a show and know that it's, okay, that's not landing right, and knowing what that feels like was something I kind of had to develop. You know, when I was younger, I would like play a song at a show and it would flop and I'd be like, oh, why? It sounds so good in my headphones. Being able to develop that sense has been really, really helpful. But that's been like the biggest development, I think, is having my studio head and my show head kind of cross over a little more and inform each other a little more. I definitely make so much music that would never work at a show. Like Sing Good is a song that, like, you know, you can't really like dance to that. But I would say that's the biggest development in recent years. The first Dark Crystal we did in 2022, and it was for Vivid Festival in Sydney, and it was originally just came to me as like a Ninajirachi headline show for Vivid. I thought, like, I have this music and it feels like a little different maybe to other Australian electronic music that was like coming out at the time, and I didn't know like where I would fit on like a lineup. I felt like there were also a few of my friends and peers who felt the same way, and I love and loved their music so much and thought like, well, if we all kind of like put our heads together and maybe like if we don't feel like we necessarily fit, we can all like make one show together. My friend Stacey came up with the name Dark Crystal because we just didn't want to call it like the Nina show. And this year has been year 4. Year 4. I love my fans, they're so sweet. I have a Discord server with about, it's like 3,500 people in it. And there's different channels where they talk about like music and art that they like and other things. And I mostly just announce stuff and then lurk. I like will talk every now and then, but just like observing the things that they like, meeting them at the shows is so amazing. Yeah, they're like the coolest people ever and so sweet. And we were talking about this actually at the shows. It's awesome that at the shows they go so hard. Like a lot of the time they'll like open up circles and all kind of run in and stuff, but everyone's still really cute and respectful. It's like not too rowdy, but it's still really high energy. But we actually made a visualizer for the song Delete like a few days before it came out. We had everyone in Discord kind of submit images. We actually only expected to get a couple. We ended up getting hundreds and it turned into like this big, beautiful visualizer, which was then really cool because then they could like see what they sent in, like reflected in this way. So I love doing those kind of things. I mean, as a fan of music growing up, I would love when my favorite artists did those. Like it just made me so much more engaged with their music when I could interact with it beyond listening to it. Yeah, it feels like building like a bunch of like a domino set or like some really elaborate like marble course and then setting off the marble and then just like watching everyone interact or like react to it. That's what it feels like. It feels like setting up a giant domino course and then being like, oh. I would love to do music for a game and a sci-fi movie or a fantasy movie. I know some game soundtrack, like some OSTs better than like some of my favorite albums because I've just spent so much time listening to them. I'd love to like contribute to that world of music one day. That would be really cool. Lately I've been like out highlighting my old highlights. So they keep kind of stacking up, which I'm really grateful for. I mean, I just released my first album. That's like probably the biggest highlight of everything I've ever done because I always wanted to make an album and I knew I wanted it to be this album. Like I knew I wanted it to feel like the way this album feels like, and I'm so glad I waited like more than a decade of making music to make the thing I really wanted to. The last couple of weeks have been some of the best of my whole music career, even though it's been going for a while. So I'm grateful that things just seem to be getting better at the moment.